All right, here for another edition of the Field of 68 off the Carousel series here with USC Upstate head coach Marty Richter. Coach, how you doing so far in your new office? You got a hoop right next to you. You got your school colors right behind you. Hey, there you go. You got some plants. I mean, this is a the office is coming together, isn't it?
It's coming together. It's been a process. We've been on the job for a little bit, and this has kind of been I actually unpacked a couple boxes 2 days ago for the first time. So you're actually getting to see it when I have something in it now.
Hey, there we go. So what's going to go on that white wall right next to you? Do you have any ideas there yet, or what are we
Uh,
going to do there?
I got 4 children and a beautiful wife, so I better
There we
put some pictures of them up. If I
go.
don't, they
You
may
might be
not.
in the doghouse. Yeah, you don't want that.
Yes, I don't want that. So on that wall is going to be, my family, and then on the other
Mhm.
wall, I'll probably put something up about Upstate on the left side of me over here.
That's awesome. I love that. So obviously, it's your first D1 head coaching gig. It seems like you've done just about everything. Like if you look at your Wikipedia page, you've
Mhm.
coached in Ukraine, you've been a JUCO head coach, you were a recruiting analyst for a year, right? So you've done just about everything you can do in basketball. But this is your first D1 head coaching gig. What does that mean to you?
Oh, it means everything to me. Like I started coaching back in 1999 was my first year, and I was a Division III basketball player. Then I started coaching. I was a
Hmm.
Division III volunteer assistant, not a full-time assistant. Let me tell people that I wasn't full-time assistant. I substitute taught all day long, and then went to practice after that.
Oh man.
So from where I started to where I'm at now, like that was my goal, and
Hmm.
I accomplished my goal. Now my goal is to be able to hold this job for a long time and take this place to another step, try to take it to the next step here at Upstate. And I was so excited when I got the call from Matt Martin on the job, and I look back 24 years ago, and I'm making no money coaching,
Yep.
volunteering. I was getting paid about $85 a day to substitute teach.
For the
So
love
that's
of the game, you know?
yeah, for the love of the game. And my parents thought I was crazy, and my siblings thought I was crazy. They're like, "What are you doing? You get a real job, make real money." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll eventually do it." It took me a long time to get real money, but hey, I'm happy.
I mean, you've had some NCAA tournament appearances in recent years with Drake, but what was one of your brightest moments, would you say, during your time at Drake? Because obviously you're from Iowa, so you were in your
Mhm.
home state. What did that whole time mean to you?
You know what? It was really I cannot thank Coach DeVries enough for that. Like 6 years ago, he offered me a job. I was able to come back because I haven't coached in Iowa in a long time. I've been
Mhm.
all over. And my mom and dad live about 2 hours from where I was in Des Moines. I had a younger brother about 5 minutes from my house, older sister about 5 minutes from my house. I was able to be around family. My kids were able to be around family and get to know their aunts and uncles and grandparents, which was awesome at that stage in their lives. Like they were able to come to games, we were able to do birthday parties. So I couldn't thank Coach DeVries enough for that. And then, the basketball wise, we took something that did not have, I tell this to a lot of people. Drake had basketball for 113 seasons before Coach DeVries got there. And they had 5 20-win seasons and 113 seasons.
Wow.
And three of them came in 69, 70, and 71. And then one more came in 2008. And I can't remember the last one. I think it was like 76 or something like that.
Wow.
So it was such a long time since they've
Hmm.
won. And Coach came there our first year. We won 24 games and won a conference regular season title with a bunch of guys that were hard playing tough. We took some transfers, we took some prep school kids, we took some JUCO kids. And it showed you how you can mesh a team really fast as long as you work hard and you get the right type of kids. And he showed me that while working for him. I mean, he did something there that, hey, I'm his biggest supporter. He's won 25 games 4 straight years.
Yep.
There's only three other programs in college, two other programs, Gonzaga and Houston. Drake,
I love
Gonzaga,
that
and
you got that
Houston.
stat off the top of your head. That was great. I love that.
Yeah, like it's unbelievable what Coach did. And then we've been to three out of the last four NCAA tournaments, and one of them we were an at-large bid. And
Yep.
Coach did an awesome job, and I cannot thank him enough. 6 years ago, he gave me an opportunity, so I can't repay him because if he didn't hire me 6 years ago, I may not be sitting here in this office talking to you right now,
Yeah.
Sean.
That is true. Was there any thought, obviously you were the interim head coach briefly at Drake before they went a different direction. Was there any thought of going with Coach DeVries to West Virginia if, you couldn't find something in the head coaching realm?
You know what? Yes, Coach and I talked about that right away. Right when Coach got announced. I mean, on Sunday, I think it was May 24th or 25th, whatever it was. He called me and told me about what was going on, which was great. I was so
Mm.
happy for him. I mean, he's worked really hard in his career to get those opportunities. And so I had the opportunity to go with him. And that was special to me because you don't always get that opportunity.
No.
And he's such a good person. And he was going to take care of me. And then when I got the job here, I had to call him and tell him, Coach, I'm not going to come with you. And I didn't know, because you tell people news and sometimes he was like, Coach, he was more excited than I was for me, which was awesome. And it showed me that 6 years ago when I went to go work for him, that he cared for me as a person, that 6 years later, he still cared for me just as much. And I couldn't thank him enough. So yeah, we talked about it, and he's going to do a wonderful job there at West Virginia. He's a heck of a coach.
I think you guys need to play though. When's the USC Upstate against West
Oh, I
Virginia
don't want to
game
play
coming?
coach ever.
Oh,
No, no,
come
no.
on.
We
You
don't
got
need
you
to
got to
do
make
that.
it happen. You got to make it
No,
happen.
see, this is what you do when you work for somebody. You don't ever want to go play them because
That's
we're
true.
friends. You don't want to go play your friends. Yeah, you got a lot of friends, but like I work for coach. I don't ever
That's
want to
true.
play coach. It's
That's
just like
true.
I work for Coach Infield at Florida Gulf Coast.
Hmm.
I don't want to ever go play now SMU.
Yeah, that's true. That
I don't
is
want to go
true.
play Coach Dooley at Kansas. His
Hmm.
assistant. Go play him. Like I know we're going to get our tars beat off by all three of them, but like you don't want to go play them. They're friends. They are mentors to me. They've all three of them have been terrific people to me. And yeah, it would be neat to play them one day, but it'd be neat to play them in the NCAA tournament.
That's true. You won't have a choice about that one. You'll
You don't
have
have a
to play
choice.
them. You will have
Yeah,
to
like
play
when we
them.
played USC 4 years ago, we played Coach Enfield
Yep.
NCAA tournament. Didn't have a choice. That was neat
Hmm.
because we both you get to an opportunity that you can't make up. It's neat to see.
So, what was the process like for you to ultimately land this USC Upstate job? What was the process like with the interview, and then ultimately hearing that you got the job, and then obviously recruiting a roster because you have to get a lot of dudes here. You had some transfers. You got to build your own program here.
You know what? The process of getting the job, to answer your first question, you got to be really lucky.
Yep.
You do. Like I got lucky. I tell like ADs will tell you this all the time. You just, every job is different. And every job I've applied for in my lifetime of now getting to the stage where I could try to get Division I jobs, they're tough. And you just got to somehow connect the dots somehow. Like the AD and we didn't know each other at all. Matt Martin and I did not know each other. I saw his name, I saw the job pop up, and I'm like, you know what? I might as well try for it. One of
Hmm.
those, like, you know what? It's down in the South. I've been in the South for a long time. I may be able to get involved. And then when I called, I looked at his bio. I saw that he was at South Dakota at one point. I was at South Dakota at one point too, but we were 10 years apart. But he worked with a couple of guys I worked with at South Dakota.
Oh, okay.
So the dots connected that way. And then it kind of just started happening. That happened fast. That happened, and my guy called him and he talked. He's like, yeah, we already got a meeting set up for later today on a phone call. And we talked. And then from there, it just kept, it moved fast. The train
Hmm.
moved fast. And it was one of those deals where when I got on the phone with him, and I think he would probably say the same to you, he got on the phone with me. It was an easy conversation.
Yeah.
Sometimes you talk to ADs and it's not easy. And they talk to coaches and it's not easy. It was like we've known each other for 20 years. It was one of those deals where it was an easy conversation. So that part was fun. And then when I got told, I came out for the interview. I thought the interview went well, but you never know. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I left. I got home on Friday and it's Final Four weekend and I'm playing with my kids outside. Um, before school. Like they're early risers, so we're playing, and then I take them to school, and they say, "Yeah, we'll call you sometime today to let you know if you're getting a job." So I'm
Oh,
actually going up. to my room to start packing because I'm leaving because I didn't get the Drake job. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not staying there. I'm probably going to go with coach to West Virginia if I have that, that
Yeah, you're leaving
opportunity.
either way.
Either way, I'm leaving. So I'm starting to pack up my all my blue stuff in my closet. I got a lot of blue stuff because
Yeah.
it's not going to go with me. I'm going to give it out to people, hand it to boosters, give it to different people. So while I'm packing, I get a call, and it's from the chancellor, Dr. Harris, and he's like, "What are you doing, Marty?" I said, "Packing some blue stuff away." He goes, "Got any green stuff in that closet?"
Oh, there we go. I love that.
I said, "No." He goes, "You need to get some green stuff." I said, "That is awesome." I said, "Thank you, sir. I'm so excited." So
That's awesome.
he did an awesome job of getting me excited, like setting it up. And then I couldn't be more excited to work for Dr. Harris and Mr. Matt.
You have a lot of green stuff now, though? We
I'm
fixed that
starting to
problem?
get, yeah, I'm starting to get a lot of green stuff. It is a good thing. Green and black. I love our colors.
They're good colors. I mean, hard to go wrong there. Uh,
They
but
are.
But in terms of building a roster, I mean, obviously at the mid-major level, especially in the Big South, like you're gonna lose players. I mean, it's kind of just what it is at this point with NIL and the transfer portal. You just kind of have to gravitate to it. I think that's what everybody is understood at this point. But what would you say about your roster so far? You're adding a lot of pieces. I mean, Carmelo Adkins, I think, is probably one of the bigger names. A guy that was committed to Drake and then committed to West Virginia and now joins you at USC Upstate, but obviously Kanye Jones played at a higher level. You have a lot of dudes coming in. So what can you tell me about some of the guys you're bringing in here?
So this is what I would say about the roster management. Like everybody, college basketball is very unique in that aspect of what's going on. My background of being a junior college coach
Hmm.
really helped me in like just help me. It's actually, and people will get on and they'll say crazy things maybe about me. I think it's actually easier now, if this makes any
Really?
sense, because kids can come and go, and they should
Hmm.
have that opportunity. But when you were a junior college coach, you had to send 10 out and you had to bring 10
Hmm.
more in, or you had to send 8 out and bring 8 in. I didn't have to send anybody out. I had one on the roster. So I had to go, I know what I had to go get. I had to go get 12. So
Hmm.
just like a junior kid, just like my days when I built Florida Southwestern from scratch, I had to put your head down and start working and figure it
Hmm.
out. And it's not easy. I mean, it's every job has its difficulties. But that's what college basketball is now, and you got to adapt to it. And I don't know if I love it or dislike it, but it is what it is. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I'm glad my junior college experiences have helped me. I
Hmm.
mean, because you can't just take all transfer Division One transfer portals kids. You can't just take all junior college kids, and you can't just take all high schoolers / prep school kids. You've got to try to mix it. And with my roster, I took one, two, three junior college kids, if I remember right.
Good amount. Yeah.
I took, let me make sure I'm looking at my board right now. I took one, two, I took two prep school kids, high school kid. I took 5 um, portal transfers.
Hmm.
Division One, 2 Division One kids. Let me make sure I'm not misspeaking here. 2 Division One kids and a couple Division Two kid, an AI
Hmm.
kid. So I just kind of got a
So you
mix.
went everywhere. Like
I
you looked
went
high and
everywhere.
far.
Yes. And especially what you just said in the Big South, you got to be able to turn some rocks over and find some guys
Hmm.
because other guy, there is such thing as NIL out there that people are getting a lot of money
Yeah.
at higher levels. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And you got to figure out the landscape that you're in and make it work.
Whether you are a world class athlete or a podcaster like me, we all understand the importance of mental and physical well being and proper recovery for top notch performance. After a 6-month season loaded with cross country travel, I can promise you that proper recovery is a priority for me these days. That's why I'm excited that Unified Healing is sponsoring this episode of the Field of 68. Unified Healing is a new and super innovative global network of wellness centers powered by Energy Enhancement System, or the EE system. If you haven't heard of the EE system yet, you'll want to listen up. This technology promotes wellness, deep relaxation, purification, and rejuvenation. Whether you're here in New Jersey or at one of the hundreds of other locations across the globe, access to a center is easy and affordable. If you're interested in experiencing the EE system technology for yourself, go to unifiedhealing.com/unified68 to learn more and find a center near you. That's UNIFYD healing.com/UNIFYD, the number 6, the number 8. No material or testimonials on the Unified Healing website are intended to be viewed as medical advice or as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment, and before undertaking a new healthcare regimen, including the EE system.
So for you and your staff, obviously NAIA guy, JUCO guys, D2 guys, D1 guys, what does that process look like for you and your staff looking at these guys? Are you watching film on, all these dudes in the portal, or are you looking at certain stats, or what does it look like that you specifically look for when you're trying to add a transfer?
When you're trying to add a transfer and doing, when we were at Florida Gulf Coast, we had transfers all the time. Before the portal was really, like, they called it the portal. So when I worked for Coach Infield and worked for Coach Dooley there, our front line for 4 straight years was Division I transfers. So that experience there under those 2 guys helped me explain to my staff how I wanted to kind of go about it. Like, we watch a lot of film. You get to you have to do the proper intel on finding out the ins and outs on kids. Like, every kid is different. You got to figure out if they're gone through injuries, if they haven't gone through injuries, how are they academically, how many credits are they coming in with, how many semesters have they gone, where everything is at, because that plays an effect on how you put your roster together. Because you can't have a roster of all juniors, all seniors, all sophomores, or all freshmen. You got to try to balance it still. Even though you may lose some guys, you got to try to balance it as best as you can. And my days with Coach Infield and Coach Dooley taught me that. Like, you have to try to balance it and find a guy from a Division II and trust your eyes. Like, a lot of times guys don't like to trust their eyes. They hear what somebody says and they go about that way instead of trusting their eyes. And if you like a guy, you got to be all in on him. And there's a lot of guys that we took that I liked. There's a lot of guys that told me no, and you have to be willing to be told no. And I got told no a lot. And that's the beauty of recruiting. You're going to get told no. It's how you handle that no, because what happens now, I really believe this, Sean, is you're going to get told no. And when you handle it correctly, that kid's probably going to leave his next spot, and he may tell you this.
Yep. You're building future relationships. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. There's a couple young men that were in the portal this year that are recruited to Drake that didn't go, that not recruited to Drake, but I tried to recruit to Drake, and we missed out on. And then when I got the job here, I re-recruited them because they went back in the portal. And when they went back in the portal, they picked up my call right away.
Because they already knew you. Yep.
They already knew me. And that helped because of how they handled their business, how I handle my business. Because at the end of the day, kids are going to say yes, they're going to say no. I'm going to say yes, going to say no to kids. As long as you handle it correctly, it is what it is.
I mean, another example with Carmelo Adkins, like, that's a guy that you had that previous relationship with, so I'm sure that helped in recruiting him.
Yes. So like I look at my roster, like those guys, like Kanye Jones, I recruited multiple times. It's funny. Like Kanye, I tried to recruit him a little bit out of high school. He was a COVID high school senior, so you couldn't go out and see him. So I kind of recruited him, but Coach Grant got him at College of Charleston. Coach Grant took Boston College. Kanye fouled him, didn't even get to College of Charleston. He fouled him right away. So before he accepted, I called him again, you know what I mean? Because he went back out on the market when I was at Drake. And he said, no, I'm going to go with Coach. And then when he left Boston College, I tried to recruit him again to Drake. It shows you how good of a recruiter I am. I lose them all. But it didn't work out for him at Buffalo. So I had a relationship with him. So when I got the job here, I called him and we talked. And it worked out. But there's other kids I called him and I was like, hey, this is not going to be a good fit for you here. It just doesn't work. You need to go somewhere else, or you know what I mean? And that's the beauty of recruiting. I enjoy it.
I mean, honesty goes a long way. And one of the questions I was going to ask you, but I'm glad you touched on it before I asked you, is your JUCO experience. Like, I've told a lot of people that I feel like mid-major basketball at this level is a lot like JUCO basketball nowadays, because one of the biggest compliments you could probably have is that your guys are getting recruited to higher levels, and you could sell that to recruits, right?
That is true. So, like, you look back at Drake and you look at our roster, we had a lot of talent. We had a lot of good players. We lost, our first kid that we lost was Liam Robbins.
Yeah.
And Liam was a heck of a player, was a really good player for us. We developed him. He had one Division I offer coming out of prep school at Sunrise Christian Prep, Western Illinois.
Wow.
We got the job at Drake and he came with us. He played 2 years for us. Then he went to Minnesota, I think he was honorable mention all Big Ten in Minnesota. Then he went to Vanderbilt. He was SEC first team all SEC, defensive player of the year in the SEC. He's now in the G League. You're going to lose good players. Joe Youssef was the next one that we lost. And that's part of it. You develop them and you don't want to lose them. You don't want to lose any kid. You don't want any kid to transfer. But it's part of it's just how it is now. Kids don't have to sit so they can go play. It is a JUCO now. Every school is a junior college. Not saying they're a junior college, but your roster, you make up your roster. If you can keep a kid for 20 months, 24 months, for 2 years,
that's a win.
That's a win because you now have developed them too. And they may move on. And that's a win. Because a lot of times you see, I mean, there was 2,000 transfers this year?
Yeah, over that, I think like 21 or 22. It was a lot.
Is that what the final number was? I can't remember.
Yeah, something like that. I could pull it up. Let's see. I think it's 21.
So you look at the number 21. There's 4,500 Division I basketball players, roughly. You know what I mean? There's 13 scholarships, roughly 350 teams. I know there's a little bit more. Not every team takes 13 kids, so there's a little bit more. So roughly, and you have each class, there's about 1,200 per class. Freshmen, sophomore, juniors, seniors playing at Division I. Well, 1,200 of them graduated. So now, let's say there's 4,800. Now you're down to 36. Well, there's 2,100 in the transfer portal. There's 1,500 at their original institution from the start of last year. They're just going to go in, and you don't want kids to go in, and that's why like guys that I have backgrounds similar to Steve Forbes, head coach at Wake Forest. He was JUCO guy. Chris Jans. I use those two guys as examples. They're from Iowa. I'm from Iowa. I look up to those two guys. Those two guys have been terrific. But their junior college experiences are helping them. Dana Altman.
Oh, no doubt.
Junior college experience at Oregon. I think he's terrific. You know what I mean? Those guys, you go through and you look at Chris Beard, junior college experience. And you look at those guys, they can adapt to the situations fast. And you could see, I mean, Chris Beard was in the national championship game. Dana Altman was in Final Four. Chris Jans and Steve Forbes are terrific coaches. They'll get there one day.
Oh, yeah.
But like you look at them and they came up through the junior college ranks. They went to the Division I ranks as assistants, and then they got their job. And they've had success because they can adapt to situations, and they can sign 8 guys and they can put the pieces of the puzzle together. And that's what I think junior college basketball teaches you. You can't just take the most talented guys. You gotta formulate a team in May, June, July, August. They show up. Sometimes you may have some summertime with them, but typically they show up in August, first day of school. And now you got to have your pieces and you got to start putting them together, and you got to figure out how to make it work for them on the court.
So since this is your first D1 head coaching gig, probably not a lot of people know what to expect from you stylistically. So what kind of offense, what kind of defense, what is your team going to look like?
I'm going to try to use defense to offense. I'm going to try to get after people on the defensive end. Very similar to us, what we did at Drake. Have some physicality and toughness on the defensive side of the floor and play fast. Try to get out in the transition and play in the open court. Very similar to what we did at Florida Gulf Coast with Coach Enfield. Very similar to what we did with Coach DeVries. Try to get out and play fast. But while the game slows down, teaching them concepts and teaching them how to play and teaching them, hey, Coach DeVries was the best at this. We played off 2 feet all the time.
Yeah.
So we were, I don't know what our Ken Palm number finished this past year, but I think we've been in the top 25 and their turnover percentage, like lowest in the country, because we play off 2 feet. And it was terrific. And he preached that. The 3 things that I'm going to take from my last 3 bosses is physicality, toughness, and play off 2 feet. And if you do those 3 things, all 3 of those guys have won a lot of games. If I can do that, I'll have a chance. I don't know if I'll win any games, but I'll have a chance because I'll be doing what they taught me to do.
I mean, I'm sure you'll win plenty of games, but for that to happen, what is the key for USC Upstate to have a successful first season under head coach Marty Richter?
We've got to get people to come to games. And some people say, well, I got to get this guy. No, we got to get the brand out there. I got to get the Upstate brand out there. I got to get people excited because the more excitement you have in a gym, the more juice your guys play with. And our guys are going to work really hard. I'm going to push them really hard. I think the biggest thing for, if it was just looking at the organization and the team piece, like our guard play has to be very good. When you're in the Big South and the best teams in like High Point last year had really, really good guard play, really good guard play. Longwood had good guard play. That's why they played in the NCAA tournament. But High Point won the regular season. Asheville had a really good 4-man/5, but they had good guard play. Gardner Webb had good guard play. You've got to have really good guard play in this league. When you're at the low and mid-major level, you're not always getting the best bigs, but you can get really good guards, and you've got to have really good guard play. So guard play's got to be really good, but we got to get fans to come to games. I want people to come out and see our brand and see how hard our guys work and how much fun they have playing the game of basketball. But our guard play's got to be good.
I'll say this, based on everything you've told me in this interview, the way the roster's coming together, I mean, if you're a USC Upstate alum or a fan or in the area and you're not going to go see USC Upstate basketball, I think you're missing out because right now it sounds like an exciting brand. So,
well, Sean, you need to come to a game. This is what I want you to do. You come to a game, I'll let you sit right next to me on the bench.
Wow, okay, that's a convincing offer, man.
Hey, not many people are willing to do that. You come to a game, come sit on the bench with me. Hey,
do I get a drop a play too?
You can drop a play too. Anything for you, man. Any other questions, man?
No, that'll do it. I really appreciate your time joining us on Off the Carousel. It was a great interview, and I know you're going to do a great job there at USC Upstate.
Sean, I hope you're right because if I don't do well, you know what? We're going to have a lot of fun doing it still. And we're going to have really good kids, and I'm going to have fun. I cannot thank you enough for allowing me to get on with you today, Sean. When you come, you can shoot a hoop. You can shoot for lunch, man. You come to a game, you shoot for lunch. You may